So last week I completed my first ever Hyrox in Anaheim, California. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I prepped for it, the actual race, and then what I would do differently when I do it again. What is going on YouTube, and welcome back to another video. I am Bryce Dettorre. So last week I completed my first ever Hyrox, and for those of you who do not know what a Hyrox is basically the endurance fitness Super Bowl. It is a very big competition that has been getting bigger. It started in, I believe, UK, then came over here to the US, and it is growing substantially in how many people are competing in one of these events. Now, my prior races, I've done multiple Spartan races, I've done multiple DECA races, but I wanted to try a Hyrox because they say this is like the ultimate endurance race. Now, what is a Hyrox? So a Hyrox is 8 stations. Each station is going to involve some type of strength slash cardio workout. But prior to that station, you're actually going to run 1,000 meters. So you're going to run 1,000 meters, do station 1, run 1,000 meters, do station 2, and so on and so forth, all the way through to 8 stations, which will add up to 5-mile run along with all the 8 stations. So like I said, the event itself was at the Anaheim Convention Center. Awesome convention center. I was actually there a month prior doing the DECA Fit, so I wanted to go back and do the Hyrox. A lot of fit people right off the bat. What I liked about the actual event is the starting line. When you get into this like tent thing, it's very like showcase style. A lot of lights. They have a really cool MC. They have TVs in the actual tent that you're in that are like hyping you up, showing you like basically people completing it. And then they do this really cool thing where they actually count down the race. So you know as soon as you start. So as soon as it starts, you're gonna go out into a 1,000-meter run. Now my plan going into the race was, again, I've never done one of these before, so I didn't want to go all out on the first race or even the first half of the actual race, because my overall goal was to finish the race. Now going into the race, I did have a lower back injury, and I actually was feeling sick the morning of. Like it was trouble for me breathing, but I was like, I waited this long. I didn't know when the next one was going to be, so I just went out. Now I did the open men's heat. I didn't do the elite men's heat. So if you do the elite men's heat, the weights are obviously heavier. So if you've never done it before, I would recommend, unless you want to go all out, you could do the elites, which I think it's like 15 pounds or something like that. You could look at the stats online. But the weights for the sleds, the kettlebells, and I think the wall balls are all going to be heavier than the pro, so the men's pro, and that's what I did. So my heat started at 11 o'clock, and it started exactly at 11 o'clock. Race starts, the first 1,000 meters, like I said, I warmed up prior, because they have the awesome warm-up area, where I warmed up prior probably for about 40 minutes, so I was feeling pretty loose. I didn't want to go out there, obviously not warmed up, because I made that mistake in DECA events. So tip number 1, make sure you warm up prior to going out. So the way it works is the 1,000 meters, depending on your convention, the way our convention center worked is, another thing that they do awesome, Hyrox is they send you like a couple days prior to basically like a video that you need to watch that breaks down the whole thing, and it shows you a map of the venue so you could kind of see where the stations are. You could see how many laps you have to do. Very informative, especially for people that are going to be doing it by themselves. You do have the option of doing it as a team. So you could do it with a partner. I did it by myself, so it was nice to have all that information prior to even getting to the arena. So your first lap, the way it works is I had to do 2.5 laps, and you always enter through the same part. So they call it the rock zone, where all the 8 stations are. So you go in the same way, and then you come out the same way. So your first time around, I did 2.5 laps. My first station was the ski erg. Now I personally don't have a ski erg at my house or my home gym, so I'm not able to prepare on the ski erg. However, I have done it for DECA events, so I wasn't too worried about it. Now in DECA events, I have to do 500 meters. In the Hyrox, you have to do 1,000 meters. And I started feeling it at 500 meters because I got halfway through and I was like, man, I'm only halfway through. Like, I still got a long way to go. And now watching back on the actual video, I wasn't going very fast. I was trying to do long strokes. I had the damper, I think, set at 4, and I want to say it took me about 4 minutes. So ski erg, like I said, if you don't have one, it's not the most difficult, but the 1,000 meters, you do start to feel it at the end. So anyway, I leave the rock zone after the ski erg. I'm feeling fresh at this time, obviously, because I've only done 1,000 meters and then the first station. Now the second time around, you only do 2 1/4 because of where you come out. I ran 2 1/4 laps. The second station was going to be the sled push. Now the sled push, I was actually very nervous about because I read a lot of reviews on it of people saying that it's very heavy, it's extremely hard to push, it gets caught on the carpet, but I didn't have any of those issues. Now again, I was in the men's pro, so the weight wasn't, I think the men's pro one is like 400, I think mine was only 330, so the weight might have made a difference. My tip or my plan going into this one is I planned on basically, because you have to go there and back 4 times, which I think it equals 100 meters or so. So my plan was to basically get halfway, take like 5 deep breaths, and then push through. I did not want to just go all out on any of these. I didn't want to just, I'm going to push it all the way, because I was afraid I was going to gas myself out. And again, this is only the second station of the event. So I went about halfway and then finished off the halfway. Again, I kind of switched it up. I tried this technique. I tried the technique where you basically wrap it around. A couple different techniques. Again, you're going to have to kind of feel it out and see which one works best for you. So I did that, no problem. As soon as I did take off though, that one I did feel it in my core and my chest. Like I felt like I had a huge weight on my chest when I took off and tried to run again. I think it's because, again, it is very taxing on you. Tip for that, obviously keep your head up so that you can get air into your system, because you got to breathe, because if you don't breathe, you die. So back out to 1,000 meters. At this point, I'm kind of just trying to get my heart rate down as I'm running. I'm not trying to, run the 1,000 meters very fast. I'm probably trying to get it back down to zone 2, because each station spikes my heart rate up. So going to zone 3. Zone 3 was the sled pull. Now the trick with this, the sled didn't feel that heavy. At this point though, I didn't do, there's a couple different techniques people do. Some will do the ones where you just use all your arms. I didn't want to tax my arms because I didn't know what I was going to be using them for at the next couple events, like if I was needing those. So what I did is I did kind of basically, you sit and then you pull and you walk back, and as you're walking back, I'd pull it a couple times. The hardest part about this, and my tip for you guys, is when you go to pull it the first time, like there's going to be slack in the rope, so you pull it back and then it catches and then you're actually pulling. My advice to you is like try to reach as far as you can without stepping over the line and pull it so it's tight, and then really try to actually pull it back. But this one I think was only 225 pounds, so again, it wasn't too heavy. There are judges next to you that like I had to check. I said, hey, I'm good, like to go, because if you mess up on any of these stations, it's like a 3-minute penalty. I believe if you do it twice, you're disqualified. And again, the video that they have you watch prior to the event a couple days, it explains all that to you. So now I'm back out for another 1,000 meters. At this point, I'm feeling fine. Then I go into zone 4, which zone 4 was the burpee broad jumps. And the burpee broad jumps, my plan going in was, okay, I'm gonna do like 5 or 10 jumps, take some breaths, 5 or 10 jumps, take some breaths, 5 or 10 jumps. I was not obviously gonna just try to go out as fast as I can. It's funny because I felt like I was doing them faster, but then when I watched the video back, I was not doing them very fast. And probably by like the 10th one, so I did 10, I got to 10, I took a breath, and then I tried to do 10 again, and by that point my heart rate was jacked up like 180 beats per minute, and it was very hard for me to get my breathing under control. So going back, the burpee broad jumps, a tip: 1, don't try to jump super far. Just go down, come up, jump, kind of like, not like, just do a jump. Don't, again, try to stress and see how far you could jump. Just try to find a rhythm. One thing is you do want to make sure that your hand placement, when you put it down, it's only like a couple inches in front of your feet, because if you stand up and then kind of fall to the ground and your arms are like 3 feet away, they're going to get you for that, and they will tell you to walk back. I didn't have to do that, luckily. But that one, when I was done with that one and I came out, I had to actually like take a knee to try and get my breath back, because it was a lot tougher than I thought. I know burpees are tough, but again, it's a very long distance, and I think that's what I underestimated. Once I got to the venue and I saw all the stations, I realized like, wow, these are really long stations, and I think that's what I'm gonna feel. So Then I went into zone 5, which was just 1,000 meters rowing. I have a rower in my garage gym, so it wasn't too hard for me. That one, I really, again, just tried to focus on getting my breathing down. The thing is it's just a very long distance. Like, I got to 500 meters and I'm like, cool. And then I'm like, man, I'm only halfway. I got to keep going. I started feeling it in my hips. I started feeling it in my quads. Not so much my upper body, but my upper body was just kind of fatigued from obviously doing, you know, the sled pull, the sled push, and then the burpee broad jump. So zone 5, I think I did that in four minutes, which that's usually what I row in. So I was cool with that. After zone 5, when I went out to do another 1,000 meter run, that's when I kind of started feeling it, like, man, I'm pretty gassed, I'm pretty tired, and I started feeling like sorry for myself, like, why am I doing this? Like, it was actually at that point though, my wife sent me a text and I got it on my watch, like, hey, you're doing great, keep going, and that kind of motivated me. So if you're able to have people go, I would highly encourage you to have some people come and cheer you on. There's a lot of people there cheering people on, but it's nice, obviously, if you have your own group or if you have someone to do it with. Like I said, the Hyrox doubles, I think, would be a really fun event if you're thinking about getting into this. Now, zone 6 was the farmer's carries. Now, when I got to that one, I ran up, there was the thing of chalk. I highly recommend putting chalk on your hands, because if you're like me and you sweat a lot, my whole body was dripping in sweat. So my hands were already wet. They were probably it was gonna be hard for me to hold the weight. Put some chalk on it. Again, I think this is a 200 meter walk or something. It's very, very long farmer's carry. You will see it in the video. But I just chalked up. I was able to make it down the first, because you basically go down and turn around. I made it all the way down unbroken. As soon as I got there, I just dropped the weight, kind of wiggled out my arms, shook out my legs, picked it up, and I was actually able to go the full distance back. When I got to about halfway back though, that's when I really started to feel it in my traps, my arms, not so much my legs, but again, your breathing is, your heart rate is spiking because you're obviously carrying weight. I think for the pro, I want to say it's 53 pounds in each hand. So I made it all the way. As soon as I dropped the kettlebells and I was done though, my arms felt like jello. Like I had to shake them out. My traps were super sore. But then I was able to head right out into the 1,000 meters. Now, when I come into zone 7, which zone 7 is basically lunges, but you do it with a sandbag on your back, and the sandbag for men's pro, I think, is only 45. So I went in underestimating that, because I'm like, 45 pounds, I got really strong legs, I'll be okay. I put it on, and again, this one is like up, down, like you snake, and it's a very long distance. I underestimated the distance on this one. And what I also didn't factor in, I got probably, I don't know, 20 lunges in, and I had a good rhythm, and then as soon as I kind of like stood up, I could feel my legs like about to cramp. And if you drop, I think you're allowed to drop the sandbag once, but if you drop it again, then I want to say you're disqualified. So you either just let it sit on your shoulders, or I don't know. But I didn't want to drop it at all, because I know if I dropped it also, it'd be a lot harder for me to try to get it back up and restart. That was one of my goals going in, is just keep a rhythm. Try not to take really long breaks, because once you take a long break and you start getting comfortable and the voice of average comes in, and then it's like, and I just didn't want to deal with any of that. I knew there was going to be like a difficulty physical wise, but I also didn't want to have to deal with it like mentally wise, as if I took a break and then having to force myself and talk myself up to pick up the weight and start. I just didn't want to do that. But what I ended up having to do is I ended up having to take a lot of breaks to just kind of hold the bag here, shake out my legs. It got to the point where I basically do like 3 lunges, stand, 3 lunges, stand, 3 lunges, stand. But each time I stood, the break in between was taking a lot longer for me to catch my breath. So I ended up finishing that. As soon as I finished that, I dropped it down. I ended up walking. This was the first time I walked all the way out of the ruck zone. And also in the rock zone before you run out, they have Gatorade, they have water, they have everything there, so you could kind of refuel. So I took a sip of water, set it down, and I went to run my last lap. As soon as I went to run, my legs just like felt like they were gonna cramp up, give out, whatever, and I was like, whoa, like kind of had to back off for a second, and I had to start by running very small steps just to kind of flush out my legs, get the lactic acid out, and push on. After I did the first lap, my legs kind of started feeling better, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm in the home stretch. That's what I noticed usually the first lap after you get out of the rock zone, your legs, you're tired, you're kind of in pain, but by the second lap, you're kind of able to get into a rhythm and kind of speed it up a little bit. So then I went into zone 8, which was the final zone. Now going into zone 8, everybody said once you get into zone 8, like you kind of get a boost because you know you're in the home stretch. I didn't experience any of that. I don't know what they were talking about because it's 100 wall balls. Now for the men's pro, it's only 14 pounds, but it's still 100 wall balls. So my plan going in, I knew I was not going to do 100 wall balls unbroken because I don't do wall balls when it comes to my programming. That was dumb on my part, but I didn't really prep for that. I know I could do them because I've done them before, and I usually do them with a 20 pound. So I kind of figured, okay, I have the experience, I kind of have the strength from other things, I'll be okay. I was wrong. My plan was to do 10 reps. 10 reps, catch my breath, 10 reps, catch my breath, and do that 10 times. I did 10 reps, caught my breath, felt good, did 15 reps, which I shouldn't have done. Stick to your plan. That 15 reps, I know it's only like, oh, it's only 5 extra, Bryce. Nope, it gassed me out. So I had to stop, catch my breath. As soon as I thought I was gonna catch my breath, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm gonna do 10 more. I was not able to do 10 more. I had to do like 8, and then it was all just kind of breaking it up. The good thing is I suck at counting when it comes to being physically tired. There's a counter right behind me, so he was kind of like just letting me know which ones I was doing. Also, if you don't hit the target, they don't count. And I missed a lot of targets just from being mentally and physically beat at this point. So I'm pushing through. I ended up doing it, I think, in 8 minutes. It took me a very long time because I was just done. Once I got to about 80, then I started feeling it in my arms, my shoulders, and my everything at that point. At that point, I wanted it to be over. I wanted to go home. So I hit my 100. I run up on stage. Really cool way they do the finish because you run up. I mean, there's a cameraman right in front of you taking pictures of you. You see your name come up on the board. Like, very cool, like. And that's a couple things I loved about the Hyrox. I loved how they started it. I loved how it was like, it made you feel like you were in a huge event. Even Cassie, when she came in, she's like, man, babe, this is like an actual competition. And you feel like it. I mean, you feel like it to a certain extent because at the end of the day, there's people at all fitness levels going out there. And that's why I love these events because you see people that are in super, freaking Greek gods, great shape. You see people in, decent shape. And then you see people that it looks like this might be their first time ever competing an event, and they're killing it, and that's what's really cool about this. It welcomes all fitness levels. Now, obviously, if you're in really good shape, it's a little bit easier, not easier, but you just have a different goal. Like at the end of the day, my goal was just to finish it, and that may be a lot of people's goals at it, which is a huge accomplishment. And then there's people's goals that, oh, I've done it a couple times, I'm trying to beat my time. Which leads me to my next thing is now, so I ended up finishing it in 1 hour and 34 minutes. Which I'm cool with. Like I said, I mean, it's a PR. I always say that. First time you do anything, you know you're going to hit a PR. But now, I know there's going to be another one December 7th, which is about 6 months away. So I plan on doing that. Now, how did I feel after the race? As soon as I walked off stage and I started walking, my right foot, the bottom of my right foot, just, I don't know what happened to it, but I couldn't put like any pressure on it, and I was definitely beat. The second day I woke up, I felt it in my traps, I felt it in the bottom of my foot, I felt it in my calf, I felt it in my quads, my lower back, I was feeling it. The third day, and again, I wasn't feeling good. I actually had to take 2 days off work just because I was sick I started feeling sick the morning of, and then it kind of just got worse as the days progressed. But the third day after the race, I have never felt that sore all over. I felt like I got hit by a freaking truck. I've had days where I do like a leg day and my legs will be super sore and they felt like how they did after the race. But I had multiple body parts that felt that way. Like it's not, usually if my legs are sore, it's just my legs and everything else is fine. Like I said, no, my legs were sore, my calves were sore, my feet were sore, my lower back was sore. The only thing that probably wasn't sore was like my chest. But my traps were super sore from the actual farmer's carries, from the wall balls. I mean, it beat me up, which I liked it because it was a reality check. One, I got to prepare a lot better than I did. It made me realize that it doesn't matter what level of fitness you are on, there's always areas of weaknesses and always other areas where you can focus on, which gets me excited because now it's like, okay, cool, I'm going to try to come back better and do better. So it's I'm going to train a lot different. Now, if I was to train differently, which I'm going to do leading up to my next one, I'm going to break it up into stations. I want to improve my running, so I would definitely focus more on, obviously, maybe not so long distance running. I'm probably going to incorporate long runs every single week of maybe like 6 to 10 miles at the most. But I'm going to do a lot of my running at like tempo running, easy running, and just get used to running in an uncomfortable state. And then when it comes to my training, how I'm going to train different is I'm going to try to incorporate obviously more of like, I don't have a sled. I might even get one just so I can practice the pulls and the pushes. But since the lunges killed me, incorporate a lot of iso leg work, which is funny because I did that, but again, I've never done it under that distress, I guess you could say, of being that fatigued. Because again, the lunges is zone 7. It's towards the end of the race. You already ran a lot. You've already done burpees. You've already done sleds. So just basically increase my leg endurance along with my leg strength. But my overall thoughts of the race, I was absolutely like, I really liked it a lot. I liked the venue. I liked the fact that it revealed a lot of weaknesses. I liked the training that I could lead up to it. I also liked the time. When I looked back at my stats, I was in zone 3 and zone 4. Zone 4, I think I was in for 40 minutes, and zone 3, I was in for 40 minutes. So I was talking to my buddy, telling him, like, I've never done a race of that long, an hour and 34 minutes, where I've been basically redlining for that long. So it was an interesting feeling, and I actually enjoyed seeing what I was capable of pushing that red line for so long, because my belief system of what I was able to do prior to that was like, oh, if I'm redlining for like 10 minutes, I'm dead and I'm tired, and like that's just my belief system. Well, now it's like I did it for an hour and 34 minutes, so I'm able to push that redlining and not die for longer durations. And I think that's what I'm going to incorporate in my training. Training for Hyrox specifically probably won't happen until like 3 months prior to the race in December, but I will definitely be back. Now, as for, like I said, the recovery, the race was last week. I haven't worked out, I haven't ran. I took a break from my nutrition, everything. I took this whole week off just to kind of mentally reset before I jump into my next thing. Because I do have something else I'm going to be doing within the next 8 weeks, which I'll talk about that on my next video. So if you are interested in that, make sure you subscribe to the channel because you can kind of follow along. If you enjoyed this video and you liked all the tips and kind of just my recap, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comment below. I will get back to you though. Comment below what you guys got on your first time of Hyrox. Just kind of want to see what you guys are at. Comment below what's your fastest Hyrox, and then comment below what tips and tricks you guys have for me so that I can improve my time. But that about wraps up this video. Again, Hyrox, if you're thinking about doing it, I highly encourage you to sign up, do it. Maybe do it as a group, maybe do it as a partner, the team race. That way you aren't by yourself. And then you guys already know the motto: stay happy, stay healthy, and above all, don't be average. I will catch you guys in the next one.